So again, these investments are pale in comparison. You think, oh my God, 20,000, but if you can increase your income from 240K OTE to 720, which is what I did, these 4 years, and 820 over 3 years, I mean, the ROI is just ridiculous. So it's all about, again, the money you're getting back in what you pay for yourself. Over the past 7.5 years, I have spent a total of $191,400 on personal and professional development out of my own pocket. That is $25,520 per year. And in this video, I'm going to share exactly where that money went, and I'm going to share what my top takeaway was in each of the programs that I've invested in. So before we get into the details, I just want to let you know, if you've never spent this kind of money or never even spent a few thousand on yourself, I get it. That's where I was in 2017. And the years before that, 2016, 15, 14, really my whole first 16 years in sales, I didn't spend any money except dropping $1,000 to go to Tony Robbins' UPW conference where I met my wife. That was the best $1,000 I ever spent. She was my firewalk partner. But apart from that, I didn't want to drop any of my own money. I said the company needs to pay for it, and I get training at work, or my manager will train me. I get it, right? So my first year, I was super reluctant to go in, but I had missed my quota 3 years in a row, and I was super frustrated. And the help my company was giving me and my manager was not enough for what I needed. And so the first $2,000 of this was like pulling teeth to get me to go to a conference. And then once I went to the conference, I actually joined the entire program. So if you're reluctant to spend money on yourself, it's only because you haven't done it before. It feels new. You might spend money on a car or furniture or stock it away, but the thought of investing in yourself is like, oh my God, it's just a paradigm shift. It's something that you haven't done before. And I totally can relate to that. But once you start doing it, once you get coaching and masterminds and actually start joining some of these programs, you'll never look back, because Jim Rohn says this. He says, if you want to work hard at your job, you'll make a good living. And if you work hard on yourself, you'll make a fortune. And the very, very best way to take a quantum leap to accelerate your success in any area of life that you want is to find somebody who's where you want to go, who has been exactly where you want to go, and pay them to help you get there. Don't watch a video. This is fine. But actually pay them, get their support to help you get there. Have them as a mentor, as a coach, or join one of their programs, because that's the fastest path. And then commit, go all in. If you're going to invest money, you got to actually do it. So let's get into it. And I'll start with the year 2017. So when I had missed quota 3 years in a row, I was super fed up with myself. I just felt like a piece of crap, because my whole identity was, ruined, because I'd always been a top performer. And, I thought the first year was a fluke. It was my territory. Then the second year was my manager. I didn't want to go to enterprise. So I moved to another team, and then I barely missed it. It was 95% of plan that third year. And I was like, it's got to be me. I looked in the mirror and I recognized that I was the common denominator. And at that point, I was desperate and ready to get help in sales. And I got a call from a sales guy and told me about a program called Epic Impact. I went to their conference, which cost about $2,000. And I think I got Salesforce to actually pay for that, right? And then at the conference, it was like 3 days long, and it tapped into something that I had never experienced before in my life. And it was this idea of visualization. We spent a lot of time doing deep meditation and visualization, and I saw my future. I played 1 year forward, and there was an exercise they took me through, and it was, imagine a year from now, you've had the best year of your life, you've experienced the most success. And they had this like deep 1 hour visualization, and they said, what number's coming to mind? And in the visualization, I had $4 million. My quota, the most I'd ever sold at that time was $1.5 million. Well, I wrote down the number $4 million and said, I'm going to do it. Because in the visualization, I felt the feelings. I literally saw myself having sold $4 million. I saw my boss so proud of me. I saw my wife saying, I knew you could do it. I saw my customers. I mean, it was so real and so powerful. I felt those emotions prior to actually prior to actually achieving it. So I put myself in the state where in my mind I had already achieved it. If anyone knows Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, that's what the whole book is about. It's like experiencing and being the type of person that feels that success even before you've achieved it, so that you can operate at the level that that type of person would operate at. And there's a lot of like powerful science behind this. But that year I was introduced to visualization. I said, I want this feeling. I'm all in. And of course I said, well, you need more than just a couple days. And I signed up for their 1-year program. In that year, I sold $5.7 million at Salesforce. And ironically, they didn't really teach me a lot of sales training. It was all about tapping into energy. It was about who you're being, how you show up. It's about having a bigger vision, thinking bigger than yourself. And it was me connecting with a lot of very successful people and taking trips. We did a retreat every quarter, and it was a fantastic experience. And again, prior to these years, I was making between $200,000 and $300,000 a year. In these 3 years, I was still at Salesforce, and my income went to about $820K. And I was one of the top performers. I finished number 1 this year, number 4 this year, and was very high the following year. I made club every year. So again, my income went to $820,000 a year. So what did I do? Of course, I renewed my membership. Of course, I did it again. So in these 2 years, it was the same program. It was a program that was all about personal development. Think of like Tony Robbins, or we did a lot of visualization. We did a lot of vision setting. We did a lot of journaling. We did a lot of fun activities. We did a lot of like accountability. We had accountability calls. We had trips. And it was really just about thinking bigger than you could think on your own. That's really what I got from that experience, was how to think bigger, how to visualize, how to create a vision, how to have goals. I did something called the 365-day challenge, which I'm still doing this year. I'm doing 365 days of gratitude, but this led me to want to start my own business because I had 2 huge years at Salesforce, and I said, I got to teach people all this stuff that I'm learning. And so the next year, I joined a program called Brand Builders Group. And this is led by a guy named Rory Vaden. And the cost of this program was about $12,000. And then I spent another, it was about $1,000 a month. And then I spent another $8,000 with them, actually working with them on more personal brand development, content development. And it became the outline of what my program is now, Untap Your Sales Potential. And so that program, if anyone wants to be an entrepreneur or wants to have their own business, I cannot recommend that enough. Rory Vaden is the OG. He wrote the book, Take the Stairs, which I was actually featured in. And if you just Google Rory Vaden TED Talk, you can watch his stuff. He's the real deal, and he helps companies like Lewis Howes, School of Greatness, Ed Milet, Kevin Harrington, just huge brands build their brands. So again, I wouldn't have a business were it not for Brand Builders Group. I also had a coach, a personal brand strategist, Elise Archer, who supported me during that year. Okay, so I spent 20 grand. So now we're up to 60 grand. Now I have an infrastructure for a business set up. 2020, shit hits the fan. I've been very vocal that I struggle with addiction. In 2020, my sales were great, my brand was going great, but the personal front was not going great. I was working so hard, and I equally partied hard and struggled with a variety of addictions. And shit hit the fan in February. I hit a rock bottom, and I got into recovery, and then I shut everything off. I shut off Brand Builders. I shut off, honestly, I lowered how much I was working at Salesforce, and I said, I got to get my head straight. I got to take care of my mental health. I got to get sober. And so I hired a therapist, and the therapist was $200 per session. So that's about, I met with a therapist every single week for a whole year. So that was about $10,000 for the year, $800 a month, plus a couple other things I had to do. I actually had to take a polygraph as part of the therapy to show my wife that I was being completely honest. I didn't keep any secrets from her. I worked the 12 steps. I went to 90 meetings in 90 days. I got a sponsor. I mean, I was all in that year with therapy and with mental, health, personal development, but it was still money out of pocket. The Salesforce didn't pay for that. Insurance didn't cover it. So spent $10,000. Again, that was the best money I spent after Tony Robbins, where I met my wife, but second best, because I ended up getting sober. It's been now, 4 years. I got in originally for compulsive sexual behavior, porn and the like of that. And I've stopped. I haven't been watching porn for over 4 years. But along with that, I actually stopped getting drunk, getting high, gambling. I stopped Adderall. I had an Adderall addiction. So I cut all of it off. I mean, I went all in on my mental health. And it was, again, the best thing I ever did for my career, for my business, and now even for my coaching, because I'm able to incorporate that work into the content I create as well as the coaching that I provide. So that was 2020. At that point, after prioritizing and saving my family, thank God my wife forgave me and gave me a second chance. I quit Salesforce and I went full-time in my own business. And I joined a company called Quantum Mastermind. Now, Quantum was led by a guy named Sam Ovens, who started consulting.com. And if you Google Sam Ovens, he has some of the best YouTube content out there. Just Google Sam Ovens YouTube. You can find his YouTube. And his office was actually in El Segundo. I was walking down the street, saw consulting.com. I had been watching this guy on YouTube, and it was like one of those serendipitous moments where I'm like, I have to join. I walked in, set up a call, and paid $36,000 or $39,000 to join the Quantum Mastermind program. And that was phenomenal. So it was all entrepreneurs and business owners that were running online businesses just like I was. And I got to be around like really successful people. And the main benefit there was I got to spend time with Sam and just basically vent to him. Hey, I'm running into this business problem, that business problem. At the time, I had, I was doing everything. I was doing the marketing, the sales, the delivery, the sales calls, all of the coaching, and I was running ragged. And I also had 3 lines of business that I was running. I had advisory services for small companies to set up their sales teams. I had training for sales teams, for companies, and I had one-on-one coaching that I was doing. And it was like too much, right? My head was all over the place between B2B and B2C. And the number one thing I got from Sam was focus. He said, Ian, if you do 3 things, you'll do them all crappy. Do one thing, go all in on that one thing and be the best at it. So I actually closed my 2 B2B lines. I stopped doing B2B training and I stopped doing the advisory, and I went all in on the B2C coaching business and started coaching tech sellers. And I created a program called Untap Your Sales Potential and had an online course, group training, and one-on-one training. So that was the biggest thing I got from them, is the power of focus. And my revenue went from, in the business side of things, from $500K in 2021 to 1.5 million. So again, these investments are pale in comparison. You think, oh my God, 20,000. But if you can increase your income from 240K OTE to 720, which is what I did, these 4 years, and 820 over 3 years, I mean, the ROI is just ridiculous. So it's all about, again, the money you're getting back in what you pay for yourself. And then last year was my biggest investment ever. I joined a program called Real Human Trainer. And I did it for $20,000, okay, which was, the program is Real Human, and I got a trainer, I'm sorry. So Real Human, I did for 6 months and I paid $20,000. And then he renewed me after 6 months for another $35,000, gave me a discount if I did a whole year program. So I spent $55,000 with Real Human, and then I spent another $72,200 with the trainer. So the $7,200, I pay per month $1,200. So this was 6 months. I hired him in July last year, and then the Real Human I spent $55,000 on. So the trainer is the first time I ever had a personal trainer. That one's easy. It's all about physical fitness. My idea is I never really wanted to do weight training. I never liked it. I was more of a runner, but I know the benefits of weight training. And I just was like, I want the accountability. I want the support. I want to make sure I don't get injured. And I found that the energy I have from training transcends into my workday. So for me, that is investing in myself. It is a form of personal development, and it's working. I'm not like crazy strong, but I feel like really good. I feel really fit and healthy, and my wife likes it. So I can't complain on that front. So that was the 7,200. I don't have to talk about the trainer. It's a calisthenics training. It's very mentally tough. And the cool thing about the training is like, I never want to do it. It's not like, yes, I get to go to the trainer. It's always like, he tortures me. It's super hard. He makes me do pull-ups and push-ups and rings and all kinds of weird planks. And it sucks. But I do it, and every time I do it, I feel better. So it's the mental toughness of starting the day, doing hard things you don't want to do, that I get a benefit from. The second one is real human. And that is a guy named Michael Brabant, who is more of a spiritual coach and a guru. And again, this is a year and a half. So a lot of this investment I've had in 2024, because I did it the first 6 months and I did it another year. So I'm kind of wrapping up with him now in mid 2024 when this is being recorded. But the biggest thing I've gotten from Michael by far is connecting to God. And I know people say, oh yeah, you can do that on your own. But the reality is I'm a type A personality. Okay. For me to sit down in prayer and meditation and listening to God is I just like to move quickly. I like to go. I like to get shit done. And for me, having that accountability to make time for God, and even just having him every couple weeks to sit down and to like meditate together. And I can't really explain what we do together in great words, but I'll tell you this, almost every session I get on with him, I start crying at some point, because he has this, he's like a sage. He's a PhD, he's super smart. He did wilderness medication, and he has a way of tuning into the soul. It's called soul embodiment. It's like, how can I lead from the heart and from the soul versus leading from the get shit done guy? Because the get shit done guy, yeah, he can make a lot of money, he can make things happen, but it's all my will. Whereas God's will is deep within me. It's, how do I serve people? How do I show up authentic? How do I connect with people? How do I have empathy? How do I give space for God and for nature, and really having somebody that's kind of holding me accountable to that spiritual growth, and can call me on my bullshit when I justify and I rationalize and says, Ian, is this your will or God's will? Right? Ultimately, what I want to do in life is I want to serve people. I want to help people overcome some of the struggles that I've experienced in both sales and in life, and show them there is hope, and ultimately glorify God through my example, by the changes that I've made, by the way I show up. If I can overcome what I've overcome, I know others can too. And he keeps me aligned with that mission, and make sure that I'm not putting so much on my calendar that I have no space for God, for prayer, for meditation. One of the other things that, like, one of the biggest things that I've learned with him is it's really cool. It's even though I'm not addicted or using substances the same way, I'm still addicted to the chase. I'm addicted to setting goals and achieving those goals. And one of the things he said to me is, Ian, what if you didn't have goals you were chasing? Let's try it out. So after I came back from my mastermind, I was thinking, what's next? What's next? And he said, Ian, stop. That's the addict coming out. You don't always need to be chasing. Because what I felt is, without a goal, I still didn't feel worthy. It was really eye-opening for me. So over the past couple months, it's just been, just be love, just be kindness, just be service, embody. Who are you being? It's not about chasing, it's about who you're being. And he's taught me that, and he's reminded me that, and he's shown me that I am enough even without chasing a goal, which is its own form of an addiction. So having somebody that I can open up to and holds me to my highest spiritual standard has been amazing. And I've just felt a lot happier and more at peace, not constantly putting that pressure on myself. You see, all the time I was trying to pursue peace. And that's why I hired a spiritual coach, because even though I was successful, I never felt that inner peace. But what I've learned to realize with working with Michael Brabant is, what I really want is peace in the pursuit. Not the pursuit of peace, but peace in the pursuit. Because I'm always going to be pursuing. It's who I am. Even if I don't have a goal, I'm still going to be pursuing something, because I'm still ADHD. I'm wired this way. But what I really want is peace while I'm grinding, while I'm working hard, while I'm with my family, while I'm chasing my dreams. And that is what I'm finally starting to tap into. And I know I'm just at my infancy in this level. So that's what I learned from, from Real Human in 2023, and I'm still working with them. I also have invested a couple other things in 2024. Camp Abundant is the same group as Epic Impact. That's coming up in a week. I'm going to be speaking there, but I spent $7,500 to also bring my family and rent a cabin in the Redwoods for an entire week. It's going to be epic, no pun intended. And it's just a week full of content and music and incredible speakers. And again, there's relationship advice, there's business advice, there's all kinds of workshops there for a whole week. So I'm doing that. That one is that one was $7,500. And then I had already another trainer for 6 months was another $7,200. And then I spent another $3,000 to go to Ignite. I forgot to mention this. I skipped 2022, but I'll close out with Ignite. So Ignite the King is something I've done for 3 different years. And it's $3,000 a pop. And Ignite the King is men's work. So it's men's work. And every year I go to these conferences, which are 4 days long. And the conferences are about being vulnerable. And I've gone to 2 already. I'm going to my 3rd in August, but they're $3,000 each. The first conference, it's about facing your truth. It's about working on yourself. You spend 4 days just working on yourself, getting the shit you don't like about yourself out, and having a group of men to hold space for you, to be real, to let it out, to face yourself, to get your anger out in a healthy, constructive way, to speak your truth, to get love, to get support, and to not feel like you're all alone. It's about a brotherhood. It's like a brotherhood amongst people who are striving for personal development. It's led by a guy named Michael Diamond, who is also a doctor. He does, it's called network care. It's similar to chiropractic care. And he's a healer. He really is a healer, and he's amazing. And what I got from this first one was it's all been related to my family and how I show up for my family. And the big thing I got from Ignite, which I'll never, ever, ever forget, which is just fantastic, is this: I will fight for my family, not with my family. I realized I had been argumentative with my wife. I had been short-tempered with my kids. And I'm like, why am I channeling that towards them? I'm going to fight for them. I'm going to defend them. I'm going to run in front of a train for my family, but I'm not going to fight with them. And it was about anger management. It was about managing my temper. It was about how to respond to stress. And I'm just, again, super grateful for that group and for this work. So that's where my $191,400 went. And if you want to take all the experience that I've learned, a lot of the stuff that I've learned through these programs is incorporated into my program. So if you're in sales and you one more thing. Every one of these was different because I was at a different stage in my life. When I wanted to be the best salesperson, I did this sales program. When I wanted to build my brand, I did a brand program. When I had to work on my addiction, I did addiction therapy. Then it went to my own business. Then it went to the men's work. And then it went to a spiritual work. So it's kind of evolved as I've evolved. So I'm not advocating stay with one coach or one program forever. I'm saying always have somebody to help you based on where you are in your life. And if you're a salesperson watching this and this is interesting to you and you want to start investing in yourself, I would love to support you. Okay. I have holistic programs focused on sales training, teaching basically the skills and the strategies I use to get to number one at Salesforce, but I combine that with a lot of the personal development, the mindset, how I think, how I work, everything I've learned through the course of my recovery, through running a business, through all of the time management training that I've done. All this stuff I've incorporated. So it's a very holistic program. It's not just you get sales training, you get life training. It's a combination of life coaching and sales coaching. I work with people on their marriages. I work with people on their health. I work with people on all the things that ultimately help you feel better, because when you feel better, you sell better, along with the strategies to sell better. So if you are interested, you guys know where to find me. Just book a call with Tanvir. You can talk about what program's right for you. I have programs for every budget, whether it's just online or it's group coaching, or you want to coach one-on-one with me or Mike, who's on my team. Whatever your level is, definitely all I can say is invest in yourself. It will make all the difference in the world. And when you go invest, you got to go all in. You got to be committed to actually applying and participating in the programs. Every one of these things, I was all in. I fully participated. And that is the key to making sure you get the return on your investment. So if you're curious or you want to invest in my programs, I'll leave a link below. And you can actually book a free strategy call, kind of share what your goals are, what your challenges are, and we'll see if my program's a fit. And if not, it's all good either way. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys soon.